Okay. Ready? Okay, so welcome. This is the March 13th business meeting of the Middle Smithfield Township Board of Supervisors. Please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. The Pledge of Allegiance
to the flag of the United States and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
We'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Pat, could we have a report on executive session?
Sure. The board met briefly immediately before this evening's public meeting to discuss litigation and ongoing legal matters. No decisions were made, no votes were taken.
Thank you. Okay, is there any public comment on non-agenda items? And that goes for the folks on Zoom as well. Anyone? Okay, moving on. There are very little announcements this evening because we had a big presentation last meeting with the preview of 2025. We do thank the East Stroudsburg Area School District for approving to renew the LERTA for another 10 years. If anyone's had a chance to go over to the Community and Cultural Center for the entire month of March for Women's History Month, there's an exhibit there representing over 30 women artists. AARP, the Rotary, is doing the free tax help. And that's from until on Tuesdays until April 11th. And that's all I have. Does anyone have anything?
No.
Okay, we have our committee and department reports. They're over on the side table, and as always, they were included with a full packet of the minutes. So with that, I would make a motion to accept all of the committee and department reports.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Michelle, do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence.
All right, treasurer's report.
Okay, motion from our general account, $169,799.98.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye. Motion from our sewer account, $79,505.07.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye. Motion from the liquid fuels account, $19,702.66.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye. And motion from our general obligation bond, $116,688.75.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, solicitors report.
Thank you. The first item on my report is the garage investments conditional use decision. As the board's aware, I circulated a draft decision. We're still working through some additional revisions. It's anticipated that the final decision, written decision, will be before you at your March 27th, 2025 meeting. It's my understanding that the applicant provided an additional time extension for action on the conditional use application until March 28th. So you'd be within that time frame if you act on the March 22nd.
Okay.
The next item, appropriations limitation for the emergency medical services tax. I don't necessarily know if this is something for my report. I do know, I think the board had inquired associated with that tax. There is a limitation as to how much can be used for either the EMS tax or the fire tax, how much can be used towards compensation for those individuals who are paid, right? My understanding is the reason this might be on is for a discussion as to whether or not the board wanted to consider passing a resolution, increasing or eliminating it with conditions pursuant to that legislation that I think came out towards the end of last year or early this year. So that's, I mean, it's up to the board if you want to discuss it, if that's why it was on the agenda, I'm not sure.
But I think it was on the agenda because we had wanted to do something comparable to what Smithfield did. And allowing more than 50% of the EMS tax revenue to be used for payroll.
Correct.
So we wanted to direct the solicitor to draft something.
Okay.
So that we could do this. So
It would be a resolution.
yeah,
The way the statute reads is you're gonna pass a resolution.
Right, but we have a resolution now that says 50%. So we've modified the existing resolution or create a new one to say 75%.
Okay, is that 75%? Is that what you're,
yeah, I'm amenable to 75% to match.
75% is able to be used towards compensation
payroll.
associated with those volunteers?
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay,
Mhm.
everyone's on board?
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, we'll make the revision and we'll circulate it and, it'll probably be, it's a resolution, no advertisement necessary, so it can be on your March 27th meeting.
Do you need a motion for
It
that?
would be good, yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right,
Okay.
and
And then the last item on my report is the Blue Ridge Cable right-of-way agreement for 11 Pondside Drive. As you're aware, Blue Ridge reached out a month or so ago regarding the right-of-way easement. I circulated a track change version. I received a response that they circulated to the legal department. I haven't heard back with comments from their legal department yet. I suspect we'll get it soon. And just to
Okay.
remind everyone, 11 Pondside Drive is that it's owned by the township and there's a pole or two on it and they want to go on there, do a survey and likely do some work on those poles. All right, so once they get back to me with their comments on my changes, I'll circulate it to the board and it likely will be in one of your upcoming meetings. Other than that, I probably have some comments further on additional items on the agenda, but that's all specifically for my report this evening, unless the board has questions or comments for me.
no, not at this time.
All right, thank you.
All right, engineers report?
All right, just one item for discussion tonight. You may recall, it was a couple months ago, there was a Act 537 plan update that was submitted to the township. This was regarding the proposed transfer of ownership for the Manwalamink Sewer Company, wastewater treatment plant and collection and conveyance facilities over to PA American Water. A portion of Manwalamink Sewer Company's service area falls within the township, and this is a requirement by DEP that the Act 537 plan be updated to reflect the change in ownership. There's no change in the service area. So this is basically a public notification process that they've implemented for these types of ownership transfers. The township had submitted back to them 4 comments following our review. The first was regarding a discrepancy on the property at 207 Frenchy Drive that's partially shown in their service area as well as the townships. They provided a map that was prepared by Frank Smith Surveyors that shows that portion in their certificated area. Not sure if there's some type of lot line adjustment or consolidation that's the discrepancy, but it's relatively minor, all things considered. The second comment was regarding, or our second comment, I should say, was regarding our request that they give documentation regarding proposed rates following a transfer of ownership and projected rates for future years. Their response is that they've committed or agreed to not seek a rate increase for 2 years and to not seek rate increases greater than a compound annual growth rate of 10% over the following 10 years. That any changes in rates will only occur after a rate filing with the PUC. There will be a public notification associated with that where they have the ability to comment on it. And obviously any change in rates would also need to have that approval as well. Our third comment was about, the fact that they do have one pump station within the township, and just, you know, whether there's any financial security in place, in case PA American were to not follow through on their maintenance of those facilities and the township were required to step in. Their response was that, although this wasn't in our comment, but they said that any low pressure grinder pumps owned by individual property owners would remain owned by individual property owners. They will retain the responsibility to operate and maintain those. For any wastewater assets owned currently by Manwalamink Sewer Company and obtained by PA American, because they're regulated by the PUC, they're required to properly operate and maintain all of the system that they own. So, again, there's not a ton of infrastructure within your township that this would pertain to, so I don't know if there was any real interest in seeking financial security for that sole pump station, but that was the response. Then the last one being, that, you want to make sure that all existing users connected to Manwalamink Sewer Company system, and all landowners within the certificated franchise area be notified via certified mail of the proposed change in ownership. They say that a public notice was published in the local newspaper on November 25th of this past year. To establish a comment period for the general public, that they made it available at the Manwalamink Sewer Company office. That before the transactional close date, they will be mailing a letter to all wastewater customers as part of the new customer welcoming packet. And that the current owners of Manwalamink will also be mailing a letter to each customer in advance of the transactional close, informing their customers. So
basically they said no.
basically they said no to that one. Yeah, so.
To number 4,
To number 4, they're not notifying, let's say, vacant properties, so owners of properties that are not currently connected to the system. They don't notify.
okay, but they will notify all.
And I guess what you're saying is they've published in the newspaper a notification of this public comment period, but there hasn't been individual letters at this stage of the game.
But there will.
To their users.
After the transaction closes, they say they will.
Before.
So they are saying that they will be, let me see there. At or before the transactional close date, a letter will be mailed to all wastewater customers as part of a new customer welcoming package.
So that it's a done deal at that point.
Correct, yes. My understanding is, I believe the PUC has already approved
So it's
this
already
transfer of
done.
ownership. They're not going through the hurdles, but
Yeah,
Yeah, but again, we asked,
I represent Manwalamink.
yeah,
Those were sent by Manwalamink to all their customers back when this first started back a year ago.
I see.
The notice was sent to all customers at that point in time about the change that's coming. And no, it has not been approved by the PUC yet.
okay,
We're waiting on it.
okay.
And, there will be a lot more notices going out, but every customer was notified.
What's the time frame you're expecting with the PUC? Does that hinge on DEP's approval prior to, or?
No, the PUC, everything has been sent to them. Recommended decision, all that stuff. And there is no time frame. There is nothing that requires them to act in a certain period of time. It's been to them since November. It's not on this week. Every 2 weeks they have a meeting, twice a month. We check the agenda. That's about it. That's all we can do. Because they make their decision without me being present and being able to discuss it.
well, then, I mean, based on, what their attorney is saying, I'm not sure why they wouldn't respond that way.
Well, I'm not a Pennsylvania American attorney.
No, this is.
No, yeah, the PUC thing, I think I got that through the design engineer that prepared the Act 537 plan updates. And maybe I misheard her. I don't want to say that she was incorrect, but that was my recollection from our conversation.
But that response is from Manwalamink.
Right.
So I don't know why they wouldn't
Oh,
respond.
why would they include it? They've already notified.
Correct.
I mean, Pennsylvania American knows we notified them. That was all part of our.
Well, it's also, the person that prepared this plan and people that provided this response are gonna pay American and their consultant. Right, so that's a different, Tech Engineering, Mary Beth Peters with them, so she prepared the Act by 37 plan update in her team or whatever, on behalf of PA American, right, so they might not have she might not have been aware that a notification went out from Manwalamink Sewer Company regarding it.
Well, I would suggest that they be made aware and they can respond accordingly.
Okay. All right, so it sounds like, we'll table the resolution until, proof of certified mail to each individual,
Or at least notification,
Or
you know.
beyond the,
that we're gonna
ad,
do this at the
yeah,
point
the
of the transaction.
newspaper,
Okay.
yeah.
Correct.
All right. The responses regarding the other three items,
Yeah, I mean, that's more technical in nature, so that would be, if you're okay with it.
yeah, I mean, they laid out as far as what the anticipated rates are.
Right.
It's largely out of our hands.
Okay.
A single pump station, I don't think that's a considerable risk.
Okay.
I'll respond accordingly then. I guess we could table the resolution for a future meeting then.
I'll make a motion to table resolution 3-2025-1.
I'll second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Ben.
Yes, no problem.
Okay, there being no old business, we'll move on to new business. So Mark, I think you have a resolution.
Make a motion to pass resolution number 032025-2, a joinder deed for Enrique Acosta and Rosanna Adriana Acosta up in Pocono Wild Haven Estates in Wooddale. And for a change, it's a larger parcel,
Let's see that.
12 acres and
Mhm.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I believe you have the next one else. I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 03-2025-3, which is establishing and revising rules for right to know requests.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I make a motion to adopt resolution 03-2025-4, which authorizes the disposition of certain records.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, and that brings us to the revitalize 209 grants. So we have before us in your packets, the revitalized Route 209 reimbursement request for Liberty Plaza property. So you might remember this was preliminarily approved. The job has been finished and inspected. And I would make a motion to reimburse them.
Second.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so the next one is revitalize Route 209. This was an approved grant application. And the applicant had some issues and is now requesting a time extension. This project is the brick church at 5146 Milford Road. And they would like a time extension of up to 6 months to complete this project.
I'll second.
Any comments or questions? Also, as part of the record, they've been requested to refresh their quotes. So their quotes are new when we look at this again. So there's been a motion, a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And the next one was revitalize Route 209 project for the Dutchman. They had requested to use a different vendor other than what was outlined in the application. Their application request provided quotes, and the board has approved the lower quote. The applicant is requesting to use someone at a higher quote, and not receive any more, grant, money for it. They would be at the same level. But after discussing this, we would be in favor, would the board be in favor of being in keeping with what the application suggests?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to stay with what was approved. Or preliminarily approved
The
with the lower
the
bidder,
service provider that was stated.
correct?
Okay, and the reason, just for the record, the reason why the applicant wanted to switch providers is because one could start sooner than another. So, we will get that correspondence out to them. And then, Mark, I believe you have something.
Yeah, we may have to accept the resignation regretfully from the zoning hearing board member Craig Weatherby.
I'll second with regret. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and that's it for tonight.
Open on the zoning hearing board.
Yes, there's a seat open on the zoning hearing board, and I'm thinking there's one, something else that there's a seat open for.
No, not yet.
Yeah, I think that might be the only vacancy
Yeah.
that we have on a committee. All right, so that brings us to public comment. Is there any public comment from either those present or those on Zoom? Folks on Zoom, you could unmute yourself and just give a shout to be recognized.
Hi, everybody. I'm Joanne Walsh, and I have no comment at this time.
Any public comment from anyone?
Enrique Acosta, I don't have any comment at this time.
Thank you. All right, well, without there being no further business and no public comment, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Sure.
Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.